And so, Shane, how was the transition to getting interest from Nestle, from PepsiCo, and how did the overall sale go?
It was good. We weren't exactly planning to sell right when we did, but we had some incoming interest from Nestle. Nestle is the biggest food and beverage company in the world. PepsiCo is the second biggest food and beverage company in the world, and they're both huge. These are, Fortune 50 companies that are 10 times bigger than a General Mills or a Kellogg. And for whatever reason, they were interested in little healthware coming along. Great brand name, plant-based products were on trend. So when you raise a lot of capital, which we had raised tens of millions of dollars over the course of our growth. At some point you have to give your investors a nice return on that capital, or else they get really mad at you. So we always knew we were going to have some sort of liquidity event. And there's sort of in the food industry, there's three things you can do. If you're profitable, if you're big enough and profitable, you can take out debt from a bank and buy out all your investors and give them a nice return. That's what Kind Bar did with our private equity group, actually. So there's that route. Second one's the IPO. For a long time, no one did that. Annie's did it. You become a public company, go from private to public, and have that liquidity returned in that event. Beyond Meat did that recently. In fact, my business partner Dan was a big investor in them, and they did really well. Now it's starting to pick up the pace a little bit with the SPAC trend that's going on. But that's it. And then the third is the most common, which is one of the big 10 food companies gobbles you up and pays a multiple of EBITDA or revenue. So that's what we did. The diligence process, the whole sales process actually takes about a year, just tens of thousands of pages of diligence and site visits and financial accounting and audits for food, audits for ingredients, audits for other supply chain stuff, packaging, audits for financials. So it's really a grind. It was the longest year of my life, and I had done 3 years of death penalty cases in the governor's office, and somehow going through this was even more painful. But it's for good reason. They're huge companies, and there's a lot of boxes you have to check to make sure you're doing the right thing when you're spending a lot of money on it.
And so, did you end up sticking with your same supply chain with the Tarahumara Indians even after your sale to Pepsi?
Unfortunately, the main deal with the Tarahumara Indians got ruined for two reasons. One, narcos really took over a lot of the farms we were working with. It's one of the worst narcotics regions in Mexico, which was scary. Someone actually got killed down there right after we left, an American. So that was bad. And then the second thing was Amazon bought Whole Foods, and all the sort of touchy feely stuff that you used to be able to do with Whole Foods has been kind of out the window since then. So it's really a sad story in the end. And if you guys read Born to Run, I'll send you an obituary. The main character in the book is a guy named Caballo Blanco, or the White Horse, who's a gringo American from North America who disappeared 20 years ago and has been living remotely with the Tarahumara ever since then. And he lives in a cave in the hills. And anyways, he was actually the first one we got in touch with about trying to help out down there. And they call him Caballo Blanco. And he's just this very eccentric, amazing character. And he passed away in 2016. And it was the New York Times, had a 6-page obituary about how he passed away. And it's like the most epic thing you've ever read, just a truly legendary character. So it's really hard. And the Tarahumara are still struggling. Harvard is still doing stuff down there. So that's what we've supported mainly, because when they go down there, they bring a lot of resources and money that helps the community get some basic wages. But the farming program is totally over now. And it's not, I think Pepsi would have totally kept doing it. They're very charitable, but the situation with the narcotics and the farms and also the revenue coming from Whole Foods just kind of fell apart.
That is sad, but at least you made it there before all that stuff went down.
Yeah, and time is long, so hopefully it'll come back. I don't know if any of you have spent much. I haven't spent much time in Mexico, and certainly rural Mexico. I spent a bunch of time in Baja. I was in California, but it's the most beautiful place. It's just stunning how gorgeous the topography is, and it would be nice to be able to do more down there.
Definitely, yeah. So the growth has been very consistent since 2012, and you were saying how Health Warrior brands themselves as an overall health brand because they don't want to stick to just chia seeds. So where do you see the brand going in the future? What's the
Yeah,
plan going
so
forward?
we launched three new product lines before we sold, and somewhere in the presentation there's a picture of all of them. But we did a breakfast protein muffin, which is a really cool product. Put water in it, stir it up, microwave it, and basically it's a healthy protein muffin in a bowl. We have plant-based protein powder, and the fastest growing item is the pumpkin seed bars. So they're 80% pumpkin seeds with a teaspoon of organic honey and spices, nothing else. They just really took off in Costco right before we sold. And there had been some supply chain issues. The pumpkin seeds come from Upper Mongolia, which is in China, and Pepsi's been trying to figure that out. But for us, yeah, I don't know what Pepsi will do with it. They own the whole thing. They can do whatever they want,
You could do
right?
everything.
They could sell Gatorade under it, right? But I think the neat thing is the name Health Warrior and the philosophy of using superfoods. We use the word extensible a lot. It can go into a lot of different forms and categories. So hopefully, eventually, it'll have Super Bowl commercials and be like the big brands, right? Like, Pepsi owns Frito-Lay, and, hopefully there'll be a healthy version of Doritos with Health Warrior on it. And we'll all see it when Beyonce is performing at the Super Bowl show. But I email them once a month to check in and ask how the Super Bowl commercial's coming, and they just kind of laugh at me and haven't told me yet. But so I'm not in charge anymore at all. I had promised to stay for a year after we sold it to do the integration, which is plugging all the back end system and stuff together. It was a lot of work. So we finished that in January, and now I owe them a couple of days a month, but it's more like consulting stuff. So it's really their baby, and I hope they'll do a lot with it, but we'll see.
Very
I have a
cool.
question.
Yeah, Andy.
So in terms of like, because obviously you're very interested in like making sure it's a healthy product. Were you concerned at all that Pepsi would not continue that sort of, I guess, tradition in your brand after you sold? And did
Oh,
that play
totally.
part in your decision?
Totally. But the neat thing is the reason they bought us is because they want to move in that direction, right? And it's hard with their traditional brands. Like people don't think of, Doritos or Gatorade, or certainly Pepsi, right? And that's fun for you, as they would call it. They don't think, they always say there's fun for you, there's better for you, which is kind of like less crappy. And then there's good for you. And what was really neat to us is that a company like Pepsi was like, we need more good for you. And they have the reach to get. So one thing that's hard, like I believe in food access for everyone. And you'll find you eat what you're surrounded by, right? Like you guys are going to eat what's on campus. And that's true for everyone. It's what grocery stores are around you. If you can go to a Whole Foods and afford a prepared salad, then you're much more likely to eat that than to eat, something from the convenience store, which is where a lot of people get their meals. And what was cool to us is Pepsi has trucks that go to every single grocery store, convenience store, gas station, dollar store, you name it, university in the country. And they can muscle up this good for you food and get it everywhere. So, for us, our goal was always to nudge the big food industry towards us, or try to pull them towards us a little bit. And frankly, it was kind of amazing. It worked in retrospect, but hopefully, and they do. When you meet the people that work there, they all want to do that. It's just really hard when you have quarterly earnings and Wall Street pressure, and they make a lot of money on that other stuff, right? So it was cool to see, and I think they're it's going to take a little while, but it was a real affirmation for us that big food wants to move in the right direction.
Well, thank you so much, Shane. I think we might have time for one last question if somebody has any questions for Shane here. If not, I'm going to ask my own question. So Shane, do you have any goals for the future? Are you going to start another company? Do you see yourself doing that?
Oh yeah, no, I'm working on another company right now. So it's a secret, but I'll tell you all about it as soon as we're a little bit further along.
Are we allowed to know, is it another food company?
Ooh.
It's related.
Related. All right, we'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So it is something you consume. It's
Well,
actually the most important thing in the world. I'll leave you with that clue. And then
Water. It's got to be
if,
water.
if anyone guesses it, then they get a prize in a few months.
well, if you need any help from students, we got a very bright group here. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
no, you
all
guys
of them-
have had great questions. You're so much further along than I was at your age. And I had some ideas, I don't have a ton of time, but I've been, talking to Mickey about some ideas for food and beverage, consumer-based stuff we could do with the Robbins School that's a little more hands-on, put some stuff out into the world. There's some pretty cool Robbins alumni I know in the food and beverage space that have places we could go make food and come up with inventions and ideas. So, if that sounds interesting to y'all, let me know, because it might be something we kick around a little bit.
That would be awesome. We could
That sounds great.
collaborate for some type of project for sure.
Yeah. I'll send you my outline when I get it done. I think it can be really fun.
Great.
All right. So I know that you can off at 8:30, Shane. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I think everybody really enjoyed hearing about your experiences with Health Warriors. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate it, y'all's time, and just putting it out there. I'm not sure, if you're looking for summer internships or if you're graduating and doing your job search and you want to talk about cool brands and companies that might be interesting in this space or on the financial side, venture capital, private equity, please shoot me an email.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
Awesome.
a
Have
lot.
a good night, everyone.
Appreciate it.
I'm going
Thank
to
you.
bed.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.
Good
Thank you
night.
so
Good
much,
night,
Shane.
Shane.
Don't leave you.